him.
Well,
Um,
I'm looking forward to Trump getting in the seat. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I don't care. I mean, like I said before, I really don't freaking care. All presidents are just like used car salesmen. You sell your dream and hell you bunch of lemons.
That's not
I really don't
this
fucking
is the
care.
only this is the only president in a long time who did exactly what he said he wanted to do. First thing he said, I'm not running for me, I'm running because of Joe Biden. And he was honest with that. And he even told him during the debates, you know what, Joe? You're the reason why I chose to run for president. Because you and Obama's, he always put an S on him. You and Obama's did such a terrible job. You really did. And I agree. And he did what he said he's going to do. He said, the first thing I want to do, I'm going to drain the swamp. And he's draining the swamp. Now, what I want to add to what Joel said earlier about the Constitution, there is a clause B, and that's what he did not touch on was clause B. If, even though it goes to Congress and the Congress selects the votes, they're at each other's necks like they are now because Pelosi is the Speaker of the House. She's also President pro tempore, which means the third president. So if they're at each other's necks like they are now, she can become the next president because you can't exceed your limitations. So if he's not been reinstalled for 4 more years, you haven't decided on Biden for 4 more years, you're all up in the uproar because of the votes. You can't trust the votes. You can't trust the Electoral College to do their job. She can step forward as president, and then everybody moves up a stop. That's her ultimate goal. Then she will historically be the first woman president, not Kamala Harris. Like I said before, if Trump does get in the seat, he's going to sit there for 4 months. All of a sudden, he's going to have this terrible headache that he can't continue. Well, folks, I'm not the best of health. I'm going to have to step down and then leave Kamala to stand up in there. Just, that's all he's doing now is acting like the vice president, stand on the side, crossing his arms, let Kamala do all the talking. I've never, not even the lieutenant governor, I've never seen a person in head of a position who lets the underling or the assistant do all the talking. Not even on cartoon characters like the Jetsons. Did Mr. Spacely ever sit down and shut up and let George Jetson do all the talking? No. Not even in Barney Fife and Andy Griffith show did Andy ever stop talking and let Barney take over the show. No. That don't happen.
Okay.
We got another caller. Go ahead, caller. Any question to comment?
You guys got me back on. Let me tell you, Donald Trump is the best president I've ever seen. And I don't live probably twice as long as you guys. And he's good for business. Let me tell you how this thing work out. And I don't know if I told you, if Joe Biden is talking about getting rid of fossil fuels, which is really not fossil, but say he's getting rid of oil, that's going to hurt black businesses tremendously. You have a black petroleum company there in Ohio, Hightower. They're going to be devastated. Then you have black businesses that's in the automotive field industry that appears on your Black Enterprise top 100 black businesses. I think in the top 20 you may find 6 or maybe a few less. And what I can't understand, blacks, and I'm not talking everybody, I'm just using this term loosely because you have some black spokespersons, and I can't name them all, but we know who they are. They're always talking about somebody is a racist or done something racist in their past, and that disqualifies them for any consideration. Well, hell, you just voted for a racist. Let me tell you how that plays out with him.
Well, say it one more time because people don't know where Delaware is. Delaware is in the Klan territory. 4 minutes from the Delaware line is a place in Maryland called Elkton. Elkton is what, if you see a sign, for people who don't know how to drive, if you ever see a sign that says, let's say it says Washington Heights SDT. SDT is not a misspelling for the word street. SDT is not an abbreviation for San Diego or a time zone. SDT means sundown town. It is a government designation that tells the niggas got to be out of this area by 3 p.m. local time or you will be killed. Burkittsville, Blairsville, Elkton, Maplewood, all of those streets between the Delaware line, Elkton line, and Cecil County, you don't see no blacks up there after 3 o'clock.
And let me ask you a question.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Your state prisons that was probably built in the last 20 years, where were they built at? You got Baltimore City, you got the suburbs, okay, then you got the rural area. Where was those state prisons built, if there was any built in Maryland?
They put them in the rural areas, like Hagerstown.
Okay, let me tell you how that works. You've heard the term "not in my backyard," right?
Yeah.
Right.
So you got large plots of vacant land in Baltimore, don't you?
Yeah, everywhere.
But, all right. Let me tell you how this works. When time came to build those prisons so they could be privatized because states didn't have the money to run them no more. And the issue on where to build them, your black politicians say, we don't want no prison in our city. They said that in St. Louis and practically every place else. Not in my backyard. If they had to build them in the city, then you could have hired, guess who? Blacks in the city. It's their kids up in there, right? All right, let's look at this. So they put them out in the rural area where it was economically depressed. Ain't no blacks out in the rural area. Now, guess what else happened? You had a lot of white police officers on Baltimore Police Department, didn't you?
Yeah, they put the whites in the black neighborhoods with the blacks in the white neighborhoods. Caused that.
All right. Where did the whites come from? They don't live in Baltimore, right? Because the court said they don't have to live in Baltimore. And also, they don't live in Baltimore because it's not a good place to raise kids. The schools are bad. But other than that, where did they come from? They came from the rural areas.
They came from the rural areas, and they came over here for work. That's why
they came from the rural areas. And listen to this. They came from the rural areas. Yeah, they came from the rural areas. And they worked extra hard because of Joe Biden's crime bill to lock up the blacks so they could be sent out to the prisons in the rural areas where their fathers, mothers, sisters and brothers, aunts and nephews were working. And to make sure they had a constant flow of people in those prisons so they would have something to do. That's how they work. Joe Biden's crime bill supported that white supremacy.
Yes, it did.
And here, blacks voted for this man. What the hell? Do they not understand how this stuff works?
Well, nobody knows the history about Joe Biden. Nobody knows the history. Nobody knows the effed up asshole that was the crime bill. Like Hillary said, a lot of people hands the guy in the pot and fucked it all up.
Well,
her husband did the Mass Incarceration Act, so she can't really point the finger.
There you go. Plus, that's son of a gun. Like I said, you can listen to him talking about using Syrian refugees to redevelop Detroit. Probably want to use them to redevelop Baltimore too at some point in time. Guys, people don't understand how this stuff works. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you something. Blacks vote. They contribute to their own damn demise. They do. Now, this man is getting ready to do away with Trump's tax program. We already told you how that's good for business. They're paying less tax, 14% less. 14% on $1 million, $140,000, and multiplied by however many millions of dollars. That's money that these black companies can either save to expand or even have discretionary money to contribute to social causes. ExxonMobil, they contribute money to Morehouse, Southern, Xavier, and other black causes. Same thing would be with Hightower. Now, if they have to pay $140,000 a year more on $1 million, Hightower, their revenue is $434 million a year. It rose in 2018 under Donald Trump's programs, 66%. You're hurting black business. Joe Biden is going to cripple black. I'm talking about for real black business. I'm talking about like Janice Bryant, who employs about 20,000 people across the country. I'm talking about Beeman's business there in Detroit in the automotive industry, and more and others. So you are hurting that which you would probably depend on, because blacks always talk about having their own business. Yeah, but your business is not going to compete against imported goods that's coming from abroad. Joe Biden wants to take down the tariffs. You know how tariffs work, right? If you're making bicycles in America, and by the time you pay somebody $15 an hour or whatever, then companies in Taiwan try to import, that is, bring in bicycles into the United States. You can't compete against them because their labor is cheaper, and also their governments subsidize them, and also they deflate the value of their currency unfairly. Trump said he wants fair trade, not open trade, free trade, and he said he's going to put tariffs and sanctions on imported goods that's unfairly competing against American manufacturers. United States don't make TVs no more. They don't make, well, they do, but it's not an American company. Washers and dryers, Sears and Kenmore, they gone. So what you going to have to do? I tell you what, just think about what it is to do. They say Boeing's getting ready to lay off 30,000 by the end of next year. 30,000.
COVID killing everybody.
Yeah.
Right. So there's where a lot of your young black STEM graduates are hired by Boeing Aircraft, by Lockheed Martin, by Northrop Grumman, by General Dynamics. So people don't think. I don't even think they know how to think.
It's like peeling an onion. There's always a layer towards everything else.
Yeah, there is. And, I'm telling you, I don't know what to say with and, this fraud that's going on with this election, with these electronic voting and the paper ballots. Whoever's involved with that needs to be punished severely. You cannot have elections at the point where people don't trust them in the United States. And fools been arguing, there ain't no such thing as no election fraud, no voters fraud. Well, yeah, right. Been telling you all along. Shit, Uber drivers been taking people back to them Democratic who got out the grave to come vote. Uber been dropping them off at the cemetery so they can get back in the grave.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So, all that stuff is true, man. This guy, and see, they've been after Donald Trump for how long? All down.
For decades and decades and
for
decades.
the last 3 years, for sure, since he's been president. with all that crazy stuff from the Russians. So why come the Russians couldn't help Joe? Is not behind